The man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell unleashed his wrath onto the market today and sent stocks down in a giant way. In today's video, we're going to be going over exactly what caused the market to tank like it did today, all the important things you need to know in a nice and simple way. And towards the end of the video, we have some awesome setups and predictions for tomorrow. There's a lot that happened in the market today, and there's a lot you won't want to miss. So stick with us all the way to the end, and we're going to do you a favor, and we're going to get right to it. So with that being said, Tom, looking at the market today, some stocks tried to run up, but Jerome Powell said, I don't think so, not today, and sent them right back down. What is happening in the market right now?
Yeah, it was crazy. And just like we've talked about, Mike, we really needed to see that indication on what the Feds were going to do later this year with rate hikes. And guess what they did? They decided to come out and say that they were not done hiking rates. And the majority of people in the FOMC or the Federal Reserve, 12 members, said that they were looking for another rate hike over the next two meetings to end this year, while 7 members said that they were not seeing a hike. So that is the main reason why we're seeing the big drop in the market that we're seeing right now. And some people will say, well, hey, a lot of people are hurting right now. Why the hell would they raise rates again? Well, you go look at inflation data. That is one of the biggest things that we've been seeing, and inflation data is starting to really grow. We can see it back in June, it was at 3%. Over the past couple of readings, it's been growing all the way up to 3.7%. If it goes up again, I mean, it's only going to reinforce the fact that they need to keep raising these rates, possibly even more. And you can see that these probabilities that we've really been hitting on the past couple days have been rising up like gangbusters. These were in the low 30s, low 20%. Now we can see that there's a 40% chance of the Feds getting to 550 to 575 basis points here in December and January. That's crazy. And you go to the overall probability down here, 48% of a chance of a hike in January. It's almost swinging towards a hike. So overall, that's the main reason why we're down, Mike, and the market definitely had a big scare off of this.
Exactly. And, just to, I guess you could say go a little bit deeper. Today, the Federal Reserve did not increase interest rates. They just kept them the same. But the main reason we saw the selling pressure is because people are like, a little bit worried because the Fed basically said, we're planning to increase interest rates again later in the year. So everyone's like, what? No one was expecting this. And then, it scared people. So it's like, we didn't get a hike today, but it sounds like one's coming. And, as Tom pointed out, the probabilities of a interest rate hike have just been increasing quite a bit over the past days. So it's just something worth keeping in mind going forward. And, looking at the market right now, I'm really not too surprised that it's falling. We have been making lower highs. On top of that, it's not like the market news lately has been great. Has it been horrible? No, but it hasn't been good. And then when you compound that onto the news we got today and the fact that this next 8-day span is the worst period for the market since 1950, I'm really not too surprised. September is also the worst month for the market as well. So it's we just kind of have a lot of bad/okay things going on all at once. And there's just there's a big lack of good news, we can say.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these stocks still are way overextended, like NVIDIA. This is one of the stocks that we've been talking about, waiting for a downtrend to happen. Man, Mike, I'll say this. I did not expect it to get to $500, but I have a feeling $500 might be the peak here for a little while. I don't know how much longer this downtrend is going to last necessarily, but I'm honestly somebody who's been expecting this. All week long, we've been been on here. We've been saying that these probabilities will probably go up. I mean, it seems like every meeting they talk about the need to go with another hike this year. And I figured that would be a pretty big scare. And then we combine that with all the technicals that we're seeing as well, like these big stocks starting to break supports, like AMD. They're sitting right at $100 today. Like if we get under there tomorrow, that's going to be brutal. Meta is actually under $300 now again, sitting right around 298. So they're at a big level. And Apple had a brutal move today too, but they still need to get under their low of the past couple weeks around 174. So there's still a chance for the market to hold here. But I will say that move today was pretty scary. And with how overextended a lot of stocks still are, it's one of those things where you just have to maybe hedge a little bit right now. Like SQQQ was amazing today. We've been calling this out the past few days. It did great. Mike, UVXY was one of your day trades yesterday. Look at that baby today. It's up 5%. I saw a few people in Discord coming in thanking you for this one. If you guys followed that, hit Mike up in the comments because that was a badass play.
There we go. So, I guess what we can say right now between a lot of stocks, as you pointed out, Tom, whether it's AMD or Meta or any of these other powerhouse stocks that are at support levels, the way I like to think about it is these support levels are acting as like a trampoline. It's like a lot of times the stocks will bounce off of them, but sometimes when you bounce on that trampoline, you just fall straight through it, right? If the trampoline breaks, if it's like hanging on by a thread, if you have a pretty bad fall, you can just fall right through that thing. So that's how I kind of look at some of these big tech stocks right now. And it's like when you fall through a trampoline, it's normally not too good, right? And that's how a lot of these big tech stocks are setting up. So just be a little bit, aware going forward. Another interesting thing I saw was actually a streak that the S&P 500 is on, and not necessarily in a good way. So basically, the S&P 500 is currently on its longest stretch without a 1.5% drop since 2018. That is, it's definitely worth noting. So, we are due for that 1.5% drop. Will it happen tomorrow? Maybe. Will it not happen for a couple weeks from now or a couple months from now? We'll see. But, it's rare to see a streak this long, and volatility is increasing, and it's just something you have to be aware of.
Yeah, that is a pretty crazy streak. And I saw that big move down today, Mike, and I was like, you know what? Maybe we're getting close. We didn't even get close at all. We only fell down 0.92%. Man, and Powell couldn't even get us down 1.5%. Like, what's going on here?
Tom, don't challenge him. He will, and he has before. So don't make him mad. But what's actually crazy is, like, you look at the SPY right now, or the S&P 500, and it fell by 0.9% today. Not even 1%. Fell by 0.9% today. Some tech stocks, like let's say Google, fell a decent amount, and some of the put options on like Google, for example, are up by like 580%. So like imagine I guess you could say price action we'll see with some of these options, or some of the moves we'll see in the options market if we saw a 1.5% drop. So, volatility is increasing, and when you hear volatility increasing, that is one of the best things you can hear as an options trader. So, for all of my people out there who like trading options, whenever you see vol increasing, that is a good thing. So that's definitely an optimistic thing to look forward to over the next couple days and weeks.
Yeah, and talking about volatility itself, Mike, I really want to go talk about maybe like VIX a little bit more, and then maybe also TNX right now and some of these yields, because, man, VIX has been so low down here around $13. We've been waiting for this to pop up for a long time, and I know getting into September and October is whenever we start to usually see historically these big pops up out of VIX. Now, I've been sitting here waiting for TNX to drop and for these yields to come down, but with the way Powell's talking about holding rates higher for so much longer now, all the way out to June of next year before we finally get some easing, it's so worrying because it's like, man, TNX is starting to like break its highs, and not just TNX, you go US 30Y, other ones like that are so close to these highs. It's like, man, are we going to go on another big rip up with some of these yields? If that's the case, boy, it's tough to buy a house now. Imagine the mortgage rates in a few months. Jeez.
I know, that's the thing, and then when you have mortgage rates rising even more, and you have auto loan rates rising more, and credit card rates and all rates rising more, it just puts further pressure onto the economy, and then it hurts a lot of these stock valuations as well. So it's very interesting, and we heard Powell say something today that we've never heard him say before, and that's that the future is uncertain. No, I'm kidding. He says it all the time. But yeah, I mean, that, to further reiterate, the market is not necessarily in like a great place right now. Is it horrible? No, it's been a lot worse before, but it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. And the problem is that we have some stocks with valuations acting like it's all sunshine and rainbows right now. So keep that in mind going forward, Tom. But I think it's time to end our rant and get into the fun stuff today, which is how to actually trade this price action. So I know you touched on it a little bit, and I just want to reiterate a little bit more. And luckily, one of these stocks is actually my one of my top setups for tomorrow, and that's UVXY. So I've been talking about this stock, I think, in literally every single video this week, and it had a pretty solid day today, popping for like 5.6%. But basically, whenever there's fear or panic or intense selling pressure into the market, this pops up a lot. And we're starting to see some, warning signs of fear creep into the market. So for that reason, I'm going to be watching UVXY pretty closely to the upside going forward. And, it's definitely a stock worth watching in these times.
Yeah, I love this play for tomorrow, Mike. I mean, it's going to be a great play. Like, if you guys start to see some great selling pressure coming in or a lot of big red candles, like UVXY will probably be one of the better stocks. I know we talk about VIX a lot, being very low too, so I'm waiting for that uptrend, Mike. It's got to come soon. And, just to go off your UVXY, my next one was SQQQ. So they didn't go up quite as much as UVXY, only 2.49%, which is actually the average percent rise whenever this thing moves over the past year. So that's actually not the biggest move ever, but whenever you go look at intraday options and stuff, man, some of those rips were pretty insane. So I'll be watching SQQQ. I'm a big fan of a lot of these tech stocks down, and my next play is a tech stock, so be ready for that one.
All righty, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is NVIDIA, and it's to the downside. This thing has been in a pretty strong downtrend over the past couple of weeks. Ever since it hit that $500 resistance, it has been falling down almost every day, and it's just bears are in control right now, and I don't want to fight that short-term trend. It has some pretty strong support right around like 405 and then 400, so I would not be surprised if we got somewhat close to retesting that if this overall market sentiment continues.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this is a great stock to play to the downside here, and especially for the next few days. This is one of the more overextended stocks that I've seen in a while, and it's almost like there's a big gap here, Mike, between like 320 and 370 to 380. I'm not saying we're going to go fill that gap, but with how overextended it is, I wouldn't be overly surprised over some time if maybe it fell a little bit more. And with my next play, I'm actually going to go ahead and go with Tesla. I know it seems like I've been playing Tesla to the downside a lot lately, and I know I might take some flack for that a little bit, but hey, this baby had a great rejection today off of 274, and it's actually straddling recent support right around 260 to 262. So if we're able to get that big breakdown coming in tomorrow, I think Tesla could be one of those stocks that could very easily have a decent move tomorrow, like down to maybe 252, or maybe a test of 250. I'm not expecting like a huge crash or anything like that, but I do think that there could be a decent move. That rejection was pretty good. And as far as like, tech stocks go, like I almost like any tech stock down right now, Mike. It's kind of weird. Like SQQQ, I think incorporates just about my main thoughts on the market.
There we go. Well, with that being said, Tom, I think you'll really like our momentum plays then. So let's get right into it. With the first one, we have Meta, and Tom, you already know, to the downside.
Yeah, definitely. Down under 300 today. How could you not? If they get under 298 tomorrow, which is that low in after hours, go ahead and look at puts. I know it looks pretty overextended intraday, but whenever you zoom out a little bit, there's definitely some room there.
Yep. All right, with the next one, we have Microsoft, also to the downside.
MSFT, another bloody one today. This one was pretty rough. Now, they're getting really close to the 320 support. I've had this plotted on my chart for a little while now, so if they break under 320, then eye up those puts.
All right, and then with the last one, we have TLT for both directions, and this has to do with yields.
Man, I'll tell you, Mike, I really wanted TLT to go up, and the way that it went was just so bad. But if they end up going down under 92.65, I up those puts. There's actually a big support they broke under in after hours there. So if they get under 92.65, look at them to the downside. Now, if they do end up coming back up above 93.50, then go ahead and look at those calls. But then again, that would have to be a pretty big recovery to get back up there.
Yeah. TLT was trying to run for a second there, Tom, but Powell just said, not today, maybe next time. So either way, keep a close eye on TLT for that upside level and then the downside level as well for a momentum play. And then don't forget about the beloved tech stocks, Microsoft and Meta, both of which have downside levels for a momentum play. And Tom, this next part of the video, I think is going to throw a lot of people off. It's the big money trade of the day, but it's a little bit different in this type of market. So basically, someone dumped $1.15 million into the GT 11 strike call options that expire on November 17th of 2023. GT is Goodyear Tire, and the stock actually had a pretty good day today. So, good for this stock. It popped by like 4.2%. So, that's good. But the problem is like when the market's falling, it kind of drags like everything else down with it. So it's like, if you have like a great bullish setup and the market's tanking, a lot of times it's like, I don't care how good your bullish setup is. If the market's tanking, you might not want to be going long on certain things because the market will just overpower that momentum. But basically what we saw today is $1.15 million going to these call options. And overall, like the setup's not bad. I'm not against the setup. I would just say like if we do see a continued sell-off, don't hesitate to cut losses.
Yeah, I kind of like this. It's a tire company. It's a little bit different than a normal stock. So I think that that's actually something that, like, imagine this. Like, you would think that maybe, like, Goodyear Tire would even benefit from, like, higher inflation and stuff like that in some ways. Because imagine, people have to pay a lot more for tires. And, like, let's be honest, you always got to buy tires, right? Like, if your tires are real bad, I mean, it's not worth dying over your tires. So,
yeah.
So it's one of those things where people kind of have to buy them. But at the same time, you can see Goodyear Tire on like a long-term chart hasn't really been doing the best. But I think recently with some of these gap ups off of these supports, it hasn't been looking too bad. There's a big gap to fill between like $13.50 and $15. So I kind of like this now. And I also like it, Mike, because it's not a ton of time either. Like it only goes out to November, which could be a nice swing play here. And it does look like they are fairly correlated to the SPY. But then again, I would definitely expect them to move a little bit more on their own.
Yeah, so we'll see. Either way, keep a close eye on this setup. But all in all, Tom, we've been saying volatility is coming, and it came today. It definitely we definitely saw a lot of big movement from especially a lot of big tech stocks. It's going to get even more volatile over the next coming days and weeks. And as I said earlier in the video, if you're an options trader, that's exactly what you hope and pray for. So I have a feeling that the next couple days and weeks will be pretty exciting for a lot of traders out there. If you guys are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, I want you to hit the subscribe button as hard as Jerome Powell sent the markets down today. When you do that, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. Every single day, we go over all the important news. In like a 20-minute video, we cover setups for the next day. We cover multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades, and sometimes we're kind of entertaining. Sometimes we're not, but why not subscribe, right? Join the StockedUp crew. But overall, like I said, exciting times are coming. Tom, do you have any last-minute thoughts or anything else that's on your mind?
Yeah, hey, if you were a bull today, I know it probably wasn't your day. I know not everybody did good, but hey, keep your heads high. Just realize, there might be a shift in the markets right now. What they projected with keeping rates higher for longer and everything like that is going to have a big implication on the economy. So just keep that in mind. The market might start shifting a little bit more, maybe a little bit more to the downside. So just be ready for that just in case. But other than that, have a great rest of your night. And hey, let's bring in some profits tomorrow. If today wasn't good for you, at least be ready tomorrow, be adaptable, and let's bring in those gains.
Let's go. I love it, Tom. Be adaptable because this market's always changing, and if you can't adapt, you can't survive. But we're not closing out of this video today without giving a huge shout out to today's member of the day, Sweet Corn, in the Discord channel. Cornish has been an amazing member of the community for years now. He's deserved a member of the day for a couple months now, so huge shout out to Cornish. Thank you so much for everything you do, and we love having you in the community.
Yeah, Cornish, you are awesome. Great gains on Apple. Thanks for being so active all the time. And man, you are one of the OG members of the chat. So thank you so much for all your support always. And hey, go Huskers as well.
There we go. Well, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and let's have an amazing day in the markets tomorrow.